Hey, class. So I'm out here and outside trying to enjoy a little bit we have left of this beautiful day, trying to take advantage of it before we kind of go back to colder weather. I like to be outside as much as I can. Um, so we was asked to read the article "Contemporary Mental Health Care in Rural Areas: Challenges and Strategies" by Whitney Cassidy Kayward, and discuss what we learned and the asked two questions. Well, I a lot of the stuff in here I have known. It's quite passionate. I'm quite passionate about some of the statistics and some of the sad things that are in it. Um, but I did learn a few things. I thought it was interesting to note that according to this, this is nationwide data indicates that clinically trained social workers compile the largest group of mental health practitioners. There are more clinically trained social workers than psychiatrists, psychologists, and psychiatric nurses combined. And I thought that was very interesting. Um, I didn't know that, and it makes sense, but I still sometimes wonder why that is. Why are there more social workers than anything else? And is it the only thing that I can think of is just the education track? Maybe um, maybe it's a little bit easier to get educated in social work than it is. Obviously, much easier than psychiatry um, or psychology, I guess, or psychiatric nurse. So I guess that has something to do with it. I would imagine. What do you think? What is it? What do why do you think that is? That's a good question I would think to ask. Um, Among many others. But another thing that I found interesting, very, very sad statistic, is that suicide rates in rural areas, which I knew were higher, um, but it says suicide rates in rural areas are highest for individuals aged 65 and over. Um, and that really stuck out to me. I uh, I I thought it would be the opposite. I figured as one gets older, the chances of suicide would diminish, and that suicide in the young late teens, early 20s would be the highest, but it's not. And it says that researchers have suggested this is linked to geographic distance from mental health care, stigma around seeking help, poor quality mental health services, and access to firearms. And um, I'd absolutely agree with all of that. Um, I would say more so the poor quality mental health services than anything. Um, the geographic dentist from mental health care is, telehealth is kind of picking up that, which is great. Stigma around seeking help, again, I think within the past 10 years or so, it's become very much destigmatized. Everybody, social media has come out, and we've all come to realize that we are all struggling. Um, so the stigma around it is not nearly as bad as it used to be from my perspective. Um, Poor quality mental health services, I would imagine, is a big one um, as to why, um, and access to firearms. Of course, that's another one. But then not all suicides are by firearms, so that's interesting to note why they said that. Um, I can't help but to think that there is a much larger issue as that is the cause of these barriers that we see here in rural areas, but not just in rural areas, but urban areas too. Um, I see it as a we're chasing our tail. And I think it's largely economic. Sorry, there's a helicopter going by. Seen him a dozen, 100 times, but still gotta watch him. But I feel like everything's bad. Mental health is bad. People are struggling. We try to get help. The the agencies are bogged down by paperwork, legal issues, and insurance claims, and they're having to tippy toe around issues, and we can't really do what we need to do, so the quality lacks. Therefore, the health in the rural areas and urban areas everywhere gets worse, which leads to substance abuse, which leads to more suicide, which leads to more crime, which uh, leads to more services being needed, which leads to more stress put on agencies, and it's a vicious cycle. Um, at least that's what I see from being in it and reading and studying on it. And as we've mentioned before, I don't know how to stop that cycle on a macro level. I don't know if we can. Um, so I'm curious to hear what others have to say about that. What can we do to really kind of fix the issues at large? Um, and just putting my 2 cents out there, I think as at least as a beginning, I think we need to expand insurances across the country. Medicaid and government healthcare. And we also need to probably implement, a UBI, universal basic income. Get more public housing. Public housing is huge. Oh my gosh. I was talking. I'm interning at a domestic violence shelter, and I was talking with one of the directors, and it's been 3 years since somebody who's come to the shelter, um, trying to get away from a domestic violence situation. It's been 3 years since somebody's been able to move into public housing. That's insane. Um, Considering when somebody comes into public housing, they move to the top of the list. So we definitely need more public housing, and I think we need to take a step back and look at all the the red tape that we have to do in agencies. I think that severely bogs down the quality of care and employee morale, which leads to worsening of the services. So I think that those are some of the things that we need to start looking at. So I'm just curious, what are your guys' take on it? And again, just trying to enjoy what little bit of daylight I have left out here. Hope you guys are enjoying it too. Have a good week.